Consumer law, folks. It would be consumer law with a chicken, except it's storming outside, so it's consumer law with a cat. This is George. Um, George isn't really happy about doing consumer law with the cat, so I doubt he'll stay here very long. But he's here for now. And can you look at the camera, George, and tell him hi? So this is George. George is kind of an old man, but he is absolutely a very lovable guy. So, um, consumer law this week. We're going to move on to some workplace protections that are better than nothing, but maybe not as good as you would want them to be. But that's just a take on it. I guess it depends if you're an employee or an employer, maybe. So, the things we're going to be looking at this week, and there'll be an assignment to follow that I think you'll find interesting. We'll be looking at OSHA, which is the Occupational Safety and Hazard Act. There goes George, he's had enough. We'll be looking at FMLA, which is the Family Medical Leave Act. And we'll be looking at workers' compensation, which is a program that is basically an insurance that employers buy to protect them in case you get injured at work. So those are the three main things we're going to be talking about this week. And there'll be a couple of assignments that have you look at an article and comment on it. Nothing real heavy this week since you did that big project last week. So, but these are important regulations. Just as a quick run through, the Occupational Safety and Hazard Act, I think, is going to be tested very heavily in the courts in the next few years based on this whole coronavirus thing. In short, the OSHA requires that employers maintain safe workplaces for their employees. In other words, they have to provide safety equipment. They can't have people, without safety gear dangling off of big structures, things like that. Only people who are properly trained can do certain jobs. If you're not 18, you can't use a slicer, things like that. That's what OSHA handles. But in the time of Corona, which is, unprecedented, no one's ever gone through this before, there's a lot of changes that are probably likely to come out of this. And I don't have any kind of crystal ball, but I can tell you that it would seem to me, if I were an employer and I was requiring people to come to work, but was not providing them with masks or gloves or safety equipment, and then they got sick with the virus, that I may be violating those standards that require I maintain a safe workplace. So I can see cases coming in the next few years of, OSHA being challenged to include, masks, something we'd never thought about. I mean, certainly masks and ventilators were required, or ventilation systems were required if people were working with hazardous materials, but it wasn't something grocery store workers had to worry about. And now, as this virus kind of marches through the population, we're seeing requirements for not just citizens to be wearing face coverings, but for grocery store employees all to be wearing masks. So big changes in the employment law world are coming likely. As far as FMLA, I'm going to link an article to that for today. FMLA was kind of rolled out as, oh, this is fantastic. You can take family medical leave when you need it, and your employer has to keep your job. I mean, yes, that's good, and you can keep your benefits, which is necessary in the United States because most people have benefits tied to their employer. The downside is it's unpaid. Yeah, you can take the time off, but you don't get paid for it. You're just guaranteed that your job will be there when you get back. So, I mean, I guess it's better than nothing, but most people can't go for 6 months without a paycheck. And then lastly, workers' compensation. Workers' compensation laws are pretty robust, and by that I mean difficult and confusing and hard to navigate. But in short, what it means is if you're injured on the job, either as a result of your job or as a side result of your job, you can get your medical bills and potentially your salary, if you can't go back to work, covered by workers' compensation. What you have to give up, though, is your ability to sue your employer for those damages. So, other than in cases of outright negligence or almost criminal activity, the employer pays an insurance premium, and then if any of their employees get hurt on the job, the insurance premium pays for it, and then those employees aren't able to sue the employer for their injuries on the job. They just get they get workers' compensation. I don't want to say just because that makes it sound like it's minimized. So those are the three main things we're going to be covering this week. Hopefully the weather clears up so there'll be more chickens. But I hope you're all staying safe, stay sane, keep each other safe, be kind to each other, and I will talk to you later this week or tomorrow. See y'all. Have a good one.